Hello again, Internet, and welcome back to Shadowrun Dragonfall, where I last left off, I had scrambled into here to take a short break before continuing into the information dive that is, well, getting a look at those DVDs. I obtained the required items to play said DVDs in the most hipster fashion possible by trading coffee for something. And, well, not just any coffee, special Turkish coffee. Instead of the, casual soy calf that apparently comes out of everywhere here. Anyway, now that I have all that gear, it's time to quickly scramble back to Paul's place and get this stuff together. Probably listening in on all of this with the team, too. So, Paul, what do you got to say? It seems that Amsel has assembled a team in your absence. They stand in a group around the old display that you had Elite deliver. On their faces you can see excitement and apprehension, curiosity and dread. True neutral, have you procured the DVD reader? Here you go. Right here. Good. This should only take me a moment. Amsel disappears behind the ancient display. After a few minutes of fiddling with its battered inputs, he reappears, a satisfied look on his face. Everything appears to be functional. The disc should be ready to play. Well then, don't keep us in suspense. Start the damn thing already. True Neutral went to the trouble of fetching everything. Let him do the honors. Amsel steps back, clearing a path for you to access the antique machine. Oh, here we go. A soft whirring sound fills the air as the ancient DVD player spins the disc up to speed. The scratched LCD display comes to life, and a menu fills the screen. Okay, track 1, let's go. The screen goes black, and a cheerful digital chiming sound spills out of the display's speakers. A crackle of static fills the air, coupled with a shrill electronic whine. After a few moments, the display goes live, and a disheveled-looking man appears on the screen. His eyes glitter with excitement. The timestamp on the screen is 2034 09:15. Hermie, I think we found her. After all this time. Führerschwinge. I knew that she wasn't dead. His speech is jittery. You can hear the urgency in his voice. She survived the Dragonfall. Just as I've always said. I knew it, and I was right. The screen explodes into static, and the electronic whine in the background sharpens into a needle-like pulse of high-pitched sound. Somewhere in the background, Dante lets out a low whimper. The screen clears, and the excited face is closer to the screen than it was before. The words spill out of him in a breathless tide. Taking a team into the SOX to retrieve her, and radiation be damned. We'll take the appropriate precautions, of course, but we must go. Hermie, I think that the body may be nearby as well. Somehow she has survived for all this time. The screen explodes into static again, then clears. The figure flickers across the screen. May not be back for some time. Look after Mom, okay? I worry about her. And Hermie, stay safe out there. I know that things are heating up in Berlin, and I know you. Student protests, civil uprisings, you'll be in the middle of it. I'm sure. Just stay safe, alright? I'll do my best to do the same. I don't know what's going to happen when I step into the SOX, but I do know one thing. If the Fire Wing is still a danger, I will put an end to her once and for all. The display goes black, and the background line fades away. A moment later, you find yourself deposited back at the menu screen. Okay, now for 2. The screen goes black for a moment, then a figure appears on the screen. Your client, Green Winters. His elbow is planted on the table he is seated at, and his chin rests on his palm. The other hand is wrapped around a bottle of cheap whiskey. The timestamp on the video reads 2053 12:25. Found the message Adrian left me all those years ago. Got it cleaned up as best I could. Strange hearing his voice again. He pauses to take a long pull on the bottle. It's good to hear him, even if he did insist on calling me Hermie. Dr. Adrian Vauclair, the hero of the people, Dragon Slayer. My brother. He grimaces and rubs his eyes. Hard to believe it's been almost 20 years. Alright, so I'm going to start recording these DVDs again. For me, for Adrian, for anyone who might wind up watching them. Every time I do this, it winds up feeling like a waste of time. But I keep doing it anyway, on the off chance that I'll find something important. If I stumble into the clue that leads me to my brother, I know that I'm going to want it on film. I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, after all. No sense in quitting now. Christ. 20 years. All this time, and still, no leads. Even with all my contacts, and my resources. He takes another long swallow of cheap liquor. Even with my legendary bullheadedness, I've made no progress at all. Haven't heard up a single goddamn thing. Want to hear something funny? Closest I've gotten to a clue was a rumor. Apparently a team emerged from the SOX a while back. Nobody's clear on the date, but... And get this, he leans into the camera and gives a conspiratorial wink. Supposedly they vanished without a trace. He upends the bottle, drains it, slams it back down onto the table. His eyes are rimmed with red. Not much of a rumor, considering I already know that you're gone, big brother. I live with that every day. Abruptly, Winters leans forward and reaches for something off screen. The display goes black. A few seconds later, the main menu returns. Okay, number 3. There's a grinding sound of the DVD tray. Angry Winters' image appears on screen. There's an eager look on his face. The timestamp on the video reads 2054 10:12. Stumbled upon this archived footage of Verschwinger's original attack months before the Dragonfall. Easy to forget how devastating it was. Adrian saved a lot of people by bringing her down. I've got the footage all queued up to play. Starting it now. Additional comments to follow. The slow whir of the DVD player shifts into a high-pitched whine. A distorted, wavering image blooms into being on screen. A timestamp in the upper right corner of the screen marks the date, July 6th, 2012. It's difficult to make out what you're seeing at first. The screen is dark and smoky, and the telltale flashes of emergency vehicle lights flicker on the periphery of the screen. The camera pushes in, and you can make out 2 figures standing in a ruined landscape. All at once, the sound cuts in. Again, for those of you just joining us, we are coming to you live from Stolberg. A few hours ago, the Dragonfall launched an unprovoked attack on this sleepy Hars Mountain town, and you can see the results behind me: fire, ashes, and blood. We are joined tonight by a survivor of this latest and most horrifying attack. The reporter turns to a pale man standing behind him. Sir, I understand that you've been through a terrible ordeal. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us tonight. The camera switches focus to a middle-aged man with a haunted look on his eyes. He stammers out a reply. Yes, of course. If you could, sir, could you please tell the people at home about your experience of the attack? It was horrible. Just pure chaos. So many people are dead. People I knew. Roasted alive, or trampled to death trying to escape. My own house burned to the ground during the attack. My family, we have nothing now. You all made it through the attack, though. Your wife, your kids? Yeah, we all made it. Thank God. We rode out the attack in a small shelter. Me, my wife, and our 2 daughters. The shelter, it protected us, but the heat was just unbearable. We couldn't have stayed in there much longer than we did. How long were you holed up in there? 3, maybe 4 hours? I don't know. We just stayed inside until the heat died down and the screaming stopped. And what happened after that? Then when it was over, you know, when the air cooled down? The reporter nods. The man continues. We stepped outside. There was nothing left, just smoldering wreckage, and this dense cloud of black, oily smoke, and the stench of the air. God, that smell. It smelled like roasting meat. There's a long pause, and the tortured look on his face. You can tell this man is struggling to decide whether or not to continue speaking. Eventually, he does. My girls, they found what was left of their nanny outside. Her body, what was left of it, was slumped against the shelter door. I keep telling myself that I couldn't hear her pounding to get in, but that isn't true. I could. I just couldn't bring myself to open that door. I couldn't risk my family like that. Not for her, not for anyone. Thank you, sir, for taking the time to speak with us. Yeah, you heard it here, an absolutely chilling account of tonight's attack. Again, the town of Stolberg has been reduced to ash, another victim of the fire wing. Stay with us for more up-to-the-minute reporting on Schwinge's Reign of Terror. Green Winters' face reappears on the screen. Okay, it's time for a new approach. Adrian's is a complete dead end. That much is pretty clear now, so I'm going to do some digging on Schwinge instead. Let's see where this goes. A moment later, the screen goes up. I can words. The screen abruptly goes black as the video cuts off. A few moments later, you find yourself returned to the menu screen. Right? 4th track. The DVD player ramps up to speed, filling the air with a shrill whining sound. Green Winters' image appears on the screen. The timestamp on the video reads 2054 10:31. Well, that was a bust. Little progress on Schwinge either. He shakes his head. I don't know, it's weird. All the information is there, it's just wrong somehow. It's too well laid out, too simple. Real life is messy, and this feels just a little too neat. That's not the only thing that's nagging at me. I'm getting that tingly feeling all up and down the back of my neck again. Feels like I'm being tracked. No Matrix hotshot like Clockwork or Schaefer, but I'm good enough to know when someone's on my scent. Gonna install some new security measures. Can't be too careful. Winters' image disappears. The display goes black. A few seconds later, the main menu returns. Okay, let's go to track 5. The display goes blank for a moment. Then the face of Green Winters winks onto screen. He is seated at a computer. Off to his left, an enormous monitor fills the screen. His voice carries an inch of panic. The timestamp on the video is 2054-1109. Christ, I'm getting too close to something. There's a trail of bodies. There have been disappearances. Clockwork, Martian, Peregrine, they've all disappeared in the past few years. Clockwork just went AWOL yesterday. And we're all making the same sort of inquiries about the fire wing that I've been. There are ghost stories spreading around the Decker community. Stories about Deckers disappearing and then showing up again later, but wrong somehow. Scary stuff, and I'm starting to think that's true. Blitz leans in to whisper to you. I know the stories he's talking about, Chief. Never put much stock 'em. And not until now. Could these rumors be related to what's happening here? Am I being paranoid? He pauses for a moment, as if seriously considering the question. Then he shakes his head and slams his fist on the table. No, I don't think so. Something big is happening here, and I'm right in the middle of it. Iger cuts in. That's a bit of a leap. One other thing. Tolstoy told me a story about a kill team that might be related to all of this. Apparently, a Decker named Hellebore posted a theory about Verschwinge to the Shadowland BBS about 5 years ago. About an hour later, a mil-spec team showed up in Meat Space and cooked her entire apartment, with her in it. If what Tolstoy told me was true, Hellebore Live posted the event. She described her killer, this great big orc with skin grafts. Then the whole thread disappeared, gone without a trace. Leap, Iger love? Sounds like he's on the right track to me. Iger holds for silence, but concedes the point with a small nod. On screen, Winters pauses. He looks like he's working up to something. Finally, he speaks. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This has gotta be Verschwinge. All of it. Adrian was right about her. She's still alive, and she's out of the SOX. She's covering her tracks, working the shadows, preparing to rise again. And that means that I have to find you, Adrian, for everyone's sake. Thankfully, I've got a lead. For the first time in 2 decades, I've got a solid goddamn lead. I've backtraced all the Matrix nodes that Hellebore was looking into back before she got cooked. Whoever's been purging the Matrix didn't think about that, and I found that she turned up. Winter stabs a few keys on his keyboard and an image expands to fill the screen of his monitor. A satellite photo of a rural landscape, annotated with GPS data. A set of map coordinates. So now, I've got a target, a place to start digging. The Harefield Manor. Conveniently located on an isolated stretch of countryside, miles away from prying eyes. Matrix records indicate that some sort of data vault exists beneath the estate. So that's what I need to get into. And this is where we came in. As if on cue, a familiar image winks onto the monitor to Winters' left. Monica. I think I'm going to tap Schaefer for this job. She's got the skills to bypass whatever security they're running out there, and she's gullible enough to take the job in the first place. I'll feed her some line about flux state security and she'll eat it up with a spoon. I warned her. Amsel's voice is choked with rage. I warned her. On the display, Winters' mouth parts into a broad grin. Time to put plans into motion. By this time tomorrow I should have the information I need. And on the off chance that Schaefer gets taken out, well, that'll tell me something too. Can't make an omelet and all that. Until then. Winters' image disappears. The display goes black. A few seconds later, the main menu returns. Alright, last track. Here we go. When you play the 6th track, a small video window appears. You recognize the scene in the window. You're looking at the tattered drapes and nicotine-stained wallpapers of Winters' hotel room at Das Kessel House. The timestamp on the video is 2054, 11:10. There's a blur of motion, and the haggard form of Green Winter slumbers into frame. Suspicions confirmed. Schaefer dead. Christ. Winters reaches a shaking hand off camera. A moment later, it returns clutching a cheap plastic drinking glass. He gulps something down, wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, and takes a deep breath. Okay. Back up. Slow down. Start from the beginning. Winters closes his eyes and makes a visible effort to calm himself. When he speaks again, his voice is steady. I got a call from my contact in the Kreutz Bazaar. Schaefer killed on the estate run. Matrix security at the estate cooked her brain. Considering Schaefer's skill and experience, on-site IC must have been extreme, even by Berlin standards. Security of that kind costs money. Real money. Given the evidence uncovered so far, corporate involvement unlikely. The connection to the fire wing is too strong. So, let's come right out and say it. The dragon is what we're dealing with here. And the smart money says she's coming for me next. Well, I won't go down without a fight. I've still got my contacts, still got my connections. And the flux state can be a hell of a weapon for a man who knows how to manipulate it. Winters takes another long pull from his glass, grimaces, and swallows. Time for me to make my play. Ghost stories or no, missing Deckers or no, I've got to jack into the Matrix and start pulling strings. The countermeasures that I installed earlier should be more than enough to keep me safe for the 20 minutes I'll be in there. Winters drains the rest of his glass and then tosses it back over his shoulder. A moment later, you hear the dull clattering sound of hard plastic on linoleum. Schaefer's death was tragic. She was a staunch supporter of the F-State, but still, all things considered. Winters fishes for something off screen. A moment later, his hand reappears clutching a data jack cable. Better her than me. He plugs the cable into his head, and the screen cuts to static. Alright, not with the DVD then. As your finger nears the eject button, a black screen cuts in over the static. A moment later, Green Winters' haggard face appears. If you're watching this, then I guess that they caught up to me. They will be after you too now. Blitz whispers into your ear again, more harshly this time. What the hell is this? Why didn't you warn me about this before I came here? Well, we didn't know. Not exactly. Not exactly? I didn't come here to get hunted by a dragon. I'm not even part of this. You are now, whether you like it or not, so quiet down and stop bothering him. Whoever you are, whatever you think you're after, you need to find Dr. Adrian Vauclair. Not because he's my brother. Because if Erschfinke is rising again, he's the only one who can stop her. You've seen what happens to people who get too close to this. I'm dead, and dozens of others have died. You'll be next unless you find Adrian. The screen cuts back to static. The message is over. The DVD tray slides out of the reader. Oh, shit. Paul? The room goes quiet as everyone struggles to process what you've just seen on the DVD. Finally, Dietrich breaks the silence. A dragon. Son of a bitch. Green Winter sent us up against a dragon. It's a fire thing. Amsel's voice is thick with dread. She lives. I'm really starting to regret the fact that I didn't just stay at the hotel. Iger ignores him. Wait a second. We don't know that for certain. Dietrich lays a hand on Iger's shoulder. The evidence seemed pretty convincing to me, love. I'll even take it a step further. I think that secret facility we stumbled into was her lair. The room falls silent. Iger and Glory exchange glances. After a moment, Dietrich continues. Just think about it. The Decker that Winters got those coordinates from posting about the Schwinger. Then she was killed by the same orcish bastard that attacked us after Monica died. There's a direct link between the dragon, the scarred orc, and Harfeld Manor. And then Winters was killed by the same thing that killed Monica. Exactly. My gut tells you that the dragon is down there. True neutral. Someplace far beneath the surface. I think we've knocked on the door to her lair without even knowing it. And I think that, given what we've seen, the dragon will do whatever it takes to keep us quiet about it. Okay, going in on the assumption that there is a dragon, and that she will come after us, what do you suppose we do about it? Well, sounds like we're gonna have to find Valclair. Yes. True Neutral is right. Finding Dr. Valclair should be our priority. If we are going up against a dragon, we need to find ourselves a dragon slayer. Winter spent 20 years searching for Valclair, and it got him nowhere. How do you propose that we find him? With the help of an information broker. I'll go talk to Altug then. For this, no. While Herr Burakgazi is very capable, a task of this magnitude is beyond him. We need to make contact with the premier information broker in Berlin. We need to talk to Alice. Blitz scoffs at Amsel. Alice? Best of luck. I hope that you're rich. Amsel raises an eyebrow. For this, rich enough, even if only just. Who is Alice? A most prominent figure in Berlin's shadow community. Ex-Schockwellenritter. She provides information retrieval services for the F-State. Amsel turns to the computer console behind him and runs his fingers over a virtual keyboard. The machine begins to hum. If Winters was right, if Valclair is still alive, she can help us find him. The console spits out a stick of black plastic. Amsel plucks it from the computer and hands it to you. Here, your key to speak with Alice. A cred stick? Amsel nods. An encoded cred stick, yes. 10,000 nuyen. Alice will not show her face for less. This represents the last of my personal savings through neutral. Makes this meeting count. So where am I going then? Take the U-Bahn to Altstadt Spandau. There you will find a connecting tube that the locals refer to as the rabbit hole. You will find a method of contacting Alice there. Don't call it that in front of her though. Word on the street is that she hates it. Please hurry. While you're out, I will work on acquiring new contracts for the team. Alice is the best there is at what she does, and her services carry a price tag to match. Oh boy. So we're going to be dealing with overpriced information brokerage. Well, at the very least, may as well book it out of the shop and hit the U-Bahn. So better at least get to where I need to be before this whole cluster molest really kicks off. Oh boy. The only active console in this derelict span of U-Bahn platform is an old video arcade machine. The CRT monitor set into the machine's cabinet glows invitingly. Cheerful pixelated graphics swirl and dance on the screen. Well, let's have a look. At the base of the controller panel, you find a cleverly hidden input port. The port is shrouded in black plastic and it appears to be the approximate shape of a typical cred stick. Well, here we go, Amsel. Internal motors grip the cred stick and pull it into the machine. It disappears into the port and the screen goes black. Moments later, a video image fills the screen. The picture is dark and grainy, a far cry from the bright, colorful sprites that previously inhabited the display. On the screen is a dimly lit office. The place looks like it was pulled straight from an old detective movie, from the Venetian blinds on the windows to the great swaths of shadow that paint the walls black. Center stage, sitting behind a large mahogany desk, is the silhouette of an impressive-looking woman in a charcoal gray suit. The tip of a cigarette glows cherry red in the shadows. She leans forward into the light, and you cast your first glimpse of Alice. Her face is all hard planes and sculpted angles, with high cheekbones and almond eyes. Her lips are painted a frigid blue, but the look in her eyes is even colder. A head of lustrous black hair is interspersed with flowing streams of cyan light. Alice exhales a plume of smoke, then tips her cigarette into a nearby ashtray. She fixes her eyes on you, and her lips curl into a humorless smile. We're on your dime, friend. Tell me what you're looking for. I need you to find someone for me. One Dr. Adrian Vauclair, Dragon Slayer extraordinaire. She raises an eyebrow. The Dragon Slayer? Interesting. He's been missing for a long time. I am surprised you recognize that name. Trivia is a passion of mine. She taps a painted fingernail to her temple. In my line of work, it comes in handy. Oh goody, I have a bonus speech. Speaking of trivia, Alice, I think that I might know who you really are. Oh. Alice leans toward you. Her smile spreads into a predatory grin. Do tell. There was a member of Echo Mirage named Alice Hefner. She died back in 2029 fighting the crash virus. Rumor has it, she still exists in the Matrix. Still calls herself Alice, too. An interesting theory, but I fear that my price to confirm or deny it would fall well outside your price range. Alice leans back in her chair. For now, let's get back to the business at hand. Yeah, sure, Internet Ghost. Alice steeples her fingers. Alright, here's how this is going to work. When you give me the go-ahead, I'm going to start gathering information for you. Once I've finished, you're going to bring me a cred stick encoded with an encryption key that I'll provide you. That cred stick will have 50,000 new yen on it. When I get my cred stick, you get your information. This is the deal. Take it or leave it. 50,000 new yen? Do you know what that kind of money can buy? Apparently, I know better than you do, sport. Do you know how much work it takes to find a digital ghost? There's going to be wet work breaking into government archives. Hell, I might even have to commission an expedition of the SOX. This is a serious undertaking, friend. Now, do we have a deal? Or don't we? Alright. Price gouge me all you want. It's a deal. Okay, but remember, you say go, and I go. From that point on, you're on the hook to pay me my fee. No turning back, no refunds. We square on this? I don't see what kind of choice I have. You're apparently the only person who can get this, and I need that info. Good. We'll be in touch. The screen goes black. Moments later, the machine reboots. The colorful sprites that you saw when you first approached the arcade cabinet return. There's nothing more to see here. Alice is gone. Oh, that was creepy. We have a literal actual internet zombie. And frankly, that was kind of awesome that my decking skills got me that. So, okay, I'm back here. First things first. Elite, do you have a drone for me? Welcome back. What can I do for you? Looking for exotic shiny things. And this is the same thing she said before. Just browsing. Because it's literally the same stuff. No drone yet. Alright, back in I go. Through neutral. Did you make contact with Alice? Yeah, I did. She took the money and is now dealing with the organizing for ordering searches for stuff we need. And being price gougey as hell. Very good. I can't imagine that this will be cheap. What was Alice's stated price? 50,000 new yen? He shrugs. It is about what I had expected. Thankfully, we are prepared for this. I have established contact with a number of new clients. You can find the information on the jobs logged on your mission computer. One jobs file is on there already. While you're working to earn Alice's fee, I will continue to dig for clues about Firschfinger. If she is, in fact, roosting under the Harfeld Manor, then there must be some evidence to support that fact. A dragon is a large thing to hide, after all. Be careful, man. Don't want you to end up like Monica. I will never forget. Don't worry, True Neutral. I'm going to conduct my investigations the old-fashioned way, through my contacts, deduction, and careful observation. I will not check into the Matrix until this entire story episode is finished. Probably a good idea. Speaking of doing things the old-fashioned way, Malit is working to recover information off of those other DVDs. It's a painstaking process. It will not be quick, but she is optimistic that she will be successful in time. Finally, I have been checking up on our friend, the orc with the skin grafts. I haven't heard anything back yet, but I'll keep you appraised as the situation develops. Sounds good, Paul. I'm gonna go check on those jobs now. One last thing before you go to neutral. Samuel Beckenbauer wanted me to pass a message to you. Do you know him? The orc who runs the shelter across the way? Yeah, we met. I donate a lot. Ah, well, he has a job for you. He wouldn't discuss it with me, but he promised that it would prove worth your time. I'll keep it in mind. We're gonna head out there now. But, you know what? I think I'll chill for a little bit first. Given, this whole mess has been one crazy pile of information, of really, really creepy DVD recordings, freaked out, angry teammates, and talking to what is essentially a ghost without a shell. If we're using standalone complex and ghost in the shell related terminology for this cyberpunk dystopia of wonderment, craziness, and in our particular case, magic. So, if you enjoyed all of that, and me running around a bit like a headless chicken while trying to get my mitts on Alice, well, feel free to comment on that, leave a like on the video, or maybe even subscribe to my channel. And until next time, I will see you all around the internet.